Thalga, that evening you go to your room. You discovered a lot of things today. How are you feeling? You still hear a bit of muffled noises from the other ladies in their rooms as they're probably getting ready to bed. But how are you thinking about this situation? Out loud.
I think that Thalga still needs to let most of the new information settle. But so far it seems that there are a few connections between whatever this void and the edge of existence might be. Whatever happened to Vita, to Naomi, and what the connection is between that void thing and Einar, because it's not lost on Thalga that Einar also has streaks of purple corrupted hair. And as Gilgamesh explained, the effect that Gilgamesh is under is a reflection of the land, is also related to the void somehow, and to Einar, of all people.
And what happens to Rose's whole settlement?
What's getting to that? That also has to do with all the purple schmuck. So this confuses Thalga, but it does feel like it's working towards there is some darker force at work here, and that, of course, Askdanir seems to be a potential powerful ally who knows about this, because nobody else seems to know really what this all is. So there's a lot of these kind of things going through Thalga's mind as she's wrapping up the day. Once again, another day where unfortunately Vita has proven that she has an unpredictable streak that might put people in grave danger, which is something growing more concerning day by day.
You're certainly not in Satbagad anymore.
No.
Reflecting back on the message that you sent earlier that morning, how are you feeling about it?
This is not very nice, perhaps, but Thalga does feel justified. She's worried she won't be... You see, for Thalga, the problem is, because this all has been very much like a conspiracy to begin with. Like, us four know the most of all of this. And there are a few people who know some things as well. But ultimately, if there is something going wrong, or if there might be some vicious streak in Vita, who's going to believe her? And she can't go running to Einar, because he has proven that when he panics, he starts erasing people's memories instead of listening or hearing them out, which, doesn't work. She doesn't really trust Lorelei and whatever group they're working for, because whilst they seem to be somewhat on the same side, they're doing it in a way that Thalga does not feel comfortable with. Now, then you have Rose, who suddenly pops up with, oh, my boyfriend-to-be also seems to be part of some sort of weird conspiracy who is involved. So far, the most likely trustworthy ally would be Askdanir, and otherwise most people in the city wouldn't believe her or would probably not know anything that can help her. So for her, it's natural to harken back to maybe that good old clan mentality and think, I need to inform my grandfather of this.
Because it's so different from the whole pact between all the dwarves. Like, you were born after that whole conflict between the three dwarven tribes happened. And it's so different. You were brought up in, yes, there's struggle and there's conflict and there's disagreement, but they always end up at some compromise
You work together to solve a problem.
And you talk about it. And you work things out. Sometimes there is a fist to be to be slapped or someone, but it's always talked about. And this is all this secrets and this not to be trusted situation. It's well,
one could call it a culture clash.
yeah. Because like you remember the time that you sometimes visited Kobagat, the settlement that was destroyed during the initial conflict in where the dwarves that wanted to associate more with water and the dwarves that wanted to associate with the desert fought for control of that settlement, and it was ultimately lost. Yet later it became those uniting grounds again, and their conflict and their differences eventually brought them back to the table because they kind of couldn't live without each other, despite the fact that they don't always agree on everything. This is all, of course, going through your mind. What do you do to get yourself ready to sleep?
I think Thalga would maybe Thalga would write things off of her, so she would be putting those thoughts into words that she puts in her writing machine, not as a sort of report, but more as a sort of journal or even just a brainstorming session.
Mm-hmm.
After which she might take up a more. I don't think Thalga would even be inclined to compare it to the meditation techniques that her friend Naomi uses. Certainly not, but she gets on the ground, plants herself firmly there, and does a few deep breaths to calm her mind, to focus on, as her grandfather always taught her, one step at a time. And she makes a promise to herself, okay, we're, no matter what the others said, we're gonna have to get on the good sides with that particular teacher, professor,
Part of some faction.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
And for the rest, she does make a mental note. I might need a little outing just to get my head clear. So maybe in the next few days, she is going to take good old Oyindamole up on her offer.
Maybe.
A nice quiet evening talking about her great inventions, and D seems like just the right thing.
Yeah. As you're meditating, trying to focus for a moment, just trying to give everything in your head a place, you can already hear in the other rooms Vita probably already already turning around and sleeping. You at some point hear from across the hallway Rose probably turn over, and while you are putting everything, you're kind of archiving all the information. You notice that you hear some coming from the window. Your room has a window, and it can close up, but one of the hinges is currently.
All right, that thing I wanted to look at months ago before all of this happened. Astalga gets up, moves over to her working desk, takes out a little bottle of lubricant, and walks over to the window to open it. And then see which hinge is making the noise. So she maybe looks at one of the shutters, probably, and it's like, that would be like.
And so, you fix it up.
Much better.
Mm-hmm. Well, you fix it up. Seems to be working fine. You dress it out for a few times. Do you leave the window open or do you close it?
given that we live in a desert, whilst the nights might get cold, it is a refreshing coldness. I think she would leave the window open, like for a bit.
All right. And then changes into her nightgown.
And plops on her bed, ready to close her eyes. Start counting mechanical sheep.
Mechanical sheep. Takes her a while, but eventually dozes off. At some point in the night, it's as if like you feel in your dream, you're not really dreaming, but you feel as if something is kind of like falling onto your face. Like, as it kind of like wakes you up, and you notice that like there's like a little bit of dust across your face as the window has blown open, and like there's like a bit of a trail of dust.
Thalga gets rid of the dust that is on top of her. Maybe gets up, wonders why there is even that much dust inside.
Actually, taking a good look at it now, it's not actually dust, it's sand. Maybe it blew in from the window?
I'll have to clean this up tomorrow.
But the window is completely wide open.
No, that's a little bit too cold. Thalga walks towards the window and attempts to close it.
Did you just see, like, a little bit further into the distance, like, a shimmer of, like, a humanoid shape that looked at her and then faded out of view? You were quite sure that you saw that.
Weirder things have been happening the past few days, but that doesn't settle Thalga. So she closes the window and attempts to, close it. She probably can't lock it, but...
What do you do?
Unsettling, but she still feels somewhat tired. So I think Thalga would be inclined to go back to bed.
Okay. You go back to bed. You hear the snoring of Vita even louder. It's in the middle of the night right now. And you go back to bed. Try to turn around 1 or 2 times, 3 times. And then suddenly the window kind of like creaks open again, annoyingly. As like you can just kind of hear like the scattering of like sand.
Thalga gets somewhat frustrated. She gets up. Bloody window. She would walk towards the window to close it. Again, but takes another look outside.
A bit closer, but still like somewhere behind like a tree that was like slightly in the way, a palm tree. You see that shimmer, that shape again.
I don't think Thalga has any binoculars.
No, but she can make like a perception check. And she wears like some the necklace, right, from her armor.
Yeah, I think that's what she would probably try to do. 11.
11. Well, you can make out a humanoid shape. So there is certainly something looking at you.
Thalga would close the window and then take a few steps backwards, probably lean on her desk or something
Mm-hmm.
and wait until it might open up again.
You take a few steps back, and you're not quite sure how you even sense this, but you sense a bit of like a vibe, like a pulse, an arcane pulse, as if like a spell is being cast, quite subtly, but it feels familiar to you, as indeed the window opens up again, and you can make me an Arcana check.
15.
A very subtle thaumaturgy spell that can open windows. Thalga is familiar with it, but it's not the wind.
She takes out her crossbow, and she moves towards the window and tries to look again if she sees anything.
At some point, the shape kind of like reappears, but then this time, you see like a hand form. Like, what do you do?
This, from the window downwards, there's just like a drop, right? Or is there like a roof in front of it? I don't think so.
You could climb down, like next to like a pillar. It's like an older building, so like it has like columns. You could.
Thalga quickly throws on some sort of clothing that covers. She always can activate her armor, of course.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't do that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to make her normal way outside.
Through the door.
Yeah.
But then the other girls might hear you, which could be a problem.
How confident is Thalga in her climbing skills?
Considering the fact that it might be problematic if the other girls hear you right now, as Naomi was already a little bit like,
She activates her armor, like...
Mm-hmm.
And she climbs up on the windowsill.
Okay. Why don't you make me either acrobatics or athletics?
That's going to be acro, which is 15 plus 3 equals 80.
At the moment that you kind of like get up to like the window and like you slowly start to like put on your gloves and like make your way down, you notice that the shape kind of like changes into like a path, like it's
Through the sky or on the floor?
over the ground, slowly.
Okay. As Thalga climbs downwards,
Mm-hmm.
She's going to follow the trail.
Mm-hmm. How long would you follow it before you wonder where it's leading you? Because like it's leading you away from the academy.
Well, she's already wondering where it's going. But she's going to try to follow, trying to be aware of her surroundings. There's probably very little people outside.
Mm-hmm.
And she would see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's probably not going to stop because right now she's very...
No.
It piqued her interest.
Like she is currently, of course, at the Cursebreakers Academy, and it would lead her a little bit further south, like towards the city streets.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, it leads her down like a few alleyways. And at some point in like an alleyway where there is you can't go further, it stops. And the sand kind of just like settles onto the ground. What do you do? As you notice like one passerby that was probably a drunkard from a bar somewhere, but then it's quiet. entirely.
She doesn't see anyone?
She does not see anyone.
I think she would... Well, she would be assertive. Okay, you can show yourself now.
Very slowly, the shape of the sand forms up, and that humanoid shape appears again. But then other details slowly form, as in the outline of like a cloak, the outline of like a similar hat that you have, with a similar shaped symbol. Yours, of course, is part of your armor, as you have it, but it is, of course, something traditional that some of the other dwarves wear.
She also wears it on her headdress.
And as you notice it, make me a quick history check.
Come on, you can't. That is 19 plus 2 is 21.
Before it even has completely finished shaping, you recognize it as a variation of yours. Yours is inspired by Satvarat, but this one is slightly shaped differently from Atashvarat, as slowly a shape appears. A dwarf appears in front of you. They click off the mask. It is good to see you again, sister.
What are you doing in the city?
Grandpappy received your letter, your message.
Oh, that is a relief.
Grandpappy cannot assist you directly, so I am here to assist you, sister.
That is good to know.
Thalga, this individual addresses you as sister. Is he speaking more metaphorically, or what is your relationship to this member of the Atashvarat clan?
Well, he does refer to my grandfather, whom he would normally, of course, would use honorifics for, I suppose.
He would normally say
Atabai.
Atabai et up, but your letter specified dear grandfather. So it could be that he refers to the letter to indicate that he knows about it. But it's up to you to decide your relationship to this character.
I don't think we're, like, familiarly related, but it's a family that's friends with my parents have friends, and this might be their son.
Of course, I speak about the esteemed Atabai et up when I mention grandfather to you.
Of course, that's all right. It's been a while since I've seen you. You've grown.
Yes, I have finished my mastery over the ways of Atashvarat.
Now the sand makes sense.
Yes.
So you are aware of the contents of my letter?
I am.
And have you come with a particular mission?
Not yet. I am here at your discretion. The thing is that your letter specified that you required assistance. However, what has been told to you to what happened in Satbarat?
You mean with the storms a few days ago?
Yes. What has been told to you? What is the news that has reached Costa del Rigido?
Quite frankly, not much. To be fair, I have a feeling this city has a tendency to keep things unwrapped. All I've heard was that Atashvarat, Satbarat, and the other dwarven city was struck by an elemental storm, and that communications were no longer possible.
To be entirely specific, the great reservoir of Satbarat has taken tremendous damage.
Oh, that is not good.
No. It has certainly caused problems for the council, and they are now at discussion in Kobarat. Atashbarat there was nothing. So, initially, there was even like a theory in that Atashbarat was doing something to Satbarat, but these accusations are, of course, false. There is no reason for us to do such a thing. Yet, somehow,
Seems unlikely.
Some of the other council members thought that it was.
Those old bickering fools. Nobody seems to know how to even control the desert storms, let alone conjure up one.
No, not even we have control over the ways in how the desert lives and breathes, and what it unleashes. Yet it is odd. The Great Reservoir, it seemed this was not merely just an accidental storm.
It was targeted.
I have no evidence for this. There is no evidence for it. But
concerning.
Atabayat Up is stuck in the suspended pact dealing with getting the resources to get this fixed. Because they had to actually shut down the Great Reservoir, and that is tremendously dangerous for all the lands. Because, well, it is damaged and...
Water is the source of life. If we have no water,
exactly.
We die.
And its repairs are not a month, not a year, it could be even longer. That is unacceptable. Considering that there is also some of the pillars in the desert from the Atashbarat clan that have blackened. I was already at your grandfather's side to report. And so
I see.
He entrusted me to go see you, as he is unable to provide you with direct assistance.
No, I understand. I was not expecting the dwarves to just march in with an army.
Yet I am confused by the contents of the letter. You specify that the luminary is not to be trusted. What do you mean by that?
We are piercing it together. But it seems that luminary Einar, he is afflicted in a way by the void. It is uncertain what exactly is happening, but he is intent on keeping everyone at bay.
This lines up, of course, with how it's always been. But you called it the Void. You should use its proper name. It is referenced in the old documents of Atashbarat. Ginungagap.
I always expected that to be a little bit more metaphorical.
I suppose. But every force out there comes from something or someone.
Arguably the edge of existence. Long story. Now is not the time. I was in the middle of my beauty sleep.
Perhaps it is not.
Effectively speaking, something is going on. We don't know exactly what, but it seems that one of my companions is related to whatever is happening with Einar.
So there are two luminaries.
I suppose the term half luminary would be more appropriate.
That is impossible, Thalga. What are you talking about?
I am merely relaying what I know.
Luminary with another species.
It's seemingly so. Apparently, the luminary Einar was quite, how do we say this politely, enamored with one of his female human servants. And to say it poetically, on one spring morning, spring has sprung.
I see.
It is recent information because beforehand my companion was kept sheltered at his palace.
Curious. I do not know anything about this.
Yeah, those luminary are strange anyway.
They are. But as what I know, Sadbarat also relies on the luminary.
Which is part of the problem. Though his crystals seem to have blackened as well.
That explains some of the crystals that in the desert of the spires in Mirabilis Mirage have also blackened, and they also originate from Einar Gidenzer.
Whatever magic might power these comes from Einar. And if Einar is corrupted, it is not unlikely to think that that might be involved.
I see. I see. Well, as I have stated, I am at your discretion. You may send me or assign me for things that you wish for me to look into. I can get almost anywhere.
Ooh. This might be a very fun character to play.
So, what can I do for you?
You are springing this a little bit on me. I honestly would not have expected some action so soon.
It's dire, so
Well,
your grandpappy was worried, and I was, at that moment, available.
I had hoped it would have reached him and that he would understand the severity of the situation. I've even heard words that potentially the entire region might be in danger.
There are signs in the desert, but there is no predictability in the storms. That is our disadvantage. If there was a way to predict these storms, perhaps we could evacuate next time.
I understand.
What has been told, what happened surrounding the people of Sadbarat.
Apparently very little.
That is insulting. That is not true.
I was relieved to hear that most people apparently were uninjured, but that was before I knew that the news of the city cannot entirely be trusted.
A shame. 15 dead, 40 injured. Mostly those who were, at that moment in time, at the Great Reservoir, either crushed by rocks or drowned because of the water.
And the storm must have hit quickly.
Yes.
Usually there is some build-up.
I do not know. But that is why, initially, some of the council members believed it to be an attack.
Yes.
However, a few hours later, through the ancient sundial, one of those stewards arrived to investigate and spoke with the pact.
Do you have any idea who it was?
I do not know their name. I've only given a description. Large linefolk, blond fur, your grandfather described him as capable of taking away headaches with mere water.
Doesn't really narrow it down.
That's all I know, unfortunately. I could look into that if you wish to. They left through the sundial, and as I know, most stewards remain with the king, as I believe.
That's true. All I know is that for the past 10 days, Einar has been pretty much continuously at the royal palace for a particular reason. I have not been informed of this reason. Earlier, the prince showed me the gardens, which were blackened as well.
Blackened? As in...
As if frozen in time, their color lost. It would be perhaps an idea to investigate what is going on at the palace.
Possibly.
Given that whatever is told to the people is merely trying to keep them from panicking. If the people here knew of the victims of that storm, I think a lot more people would be up in outcry.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but the king's family is, of course, arcanely gifted, and if the luminary is there, it may not be a very easy task. Are you sure it is necessary?
Oh, no, wait. You are right.
What is your goal with your question? You wish to know what exactly?
I want to know what they're doing there. That might be a piece of the puzzle. But it's no point in getting close.
From what I know, the luminary has always been close to the royal family.
That is true, but...
But he has been there for days. Does he not usually stay at the palace that he has? What is this Never mind. You bring him up a few times now, and you say he's not to be trusted, but what makes him not to be trusted?
If you come too close to him, he will automatically read your mind and be aware of who you are and what you're doing there. And he will wipe your mind if he understands that you have possession of knowledge that he thinks you should not have.
That is powerful black magic.
You can say that again. You could investigate his palace, perhaps.
To what end?
Maybe find out if there are some documents or other further information that would tell us something.
From what I know, that palace is also protected through the arcane. But not something that is impossible for me. Or perhaps us.
You want me to join you?
Well, I would not want to put you in danger, sister, but I have a few allies in the city that I could call upon.
Ah, that would be useful.
Besides, perhaps it's better if you stay on the sidelines if things become difficult. Considering that what you told me, if this luminary can remove minds, well, your mind is a very useful asset in this conflict then?
It has already happened before. It was through the efforts of my companions that I regained the knowledge that was taken from us.
Is there no way to shield it?
There are probably magical ways to do so, but I'm not proficient in them.
No. Perhaps you are not. I am not saying about myself. Look, I cannot do multiple things at a time. So, if you have a task for me that you want me to take now, then let me know. Do you want me to investigate the palace? Do you want me to investigate Einar's manor? Or do you want me to see if there is a way to protect your mind? Or do you have something else in mind? Because I have overheard something when I arrived.
What did you hear?
When I arrived, I came to see Zaru. I did not show myself. I just wanted to see how he was doing.
He's having a pretty decent job going.
Yes, but there was a girl with him.
Ah, yes, his assistant.
His assistant. She seemed upset as she had filed a report for missing people.
Ah, yes.
And then when I overheard it, and I followed up on the names that she spoke, other people have also said that they went missing. People from the Temple of the Undecided.
Yeah, there was an incident there earlier.
Were you involved?
Well, well. So, this is what I mean. My companion, Vita, touched a statue of a terrible creature that came back to life.
I beg your pardon.
I honestly don't even know myself anymore. But it was in a restricted section which contained very peculiar pieces of information. But this blew up a little bit.
Hold on. Backtrack. You said a statue touched it and it came alive.
It was apparently a petrified creature that she turned back to the living.
I have 2 questions. You used the word petrify. Was it that, or was it something else?
I am uncertain, but during our investigation we have encountered a tablet that turns people to stone. It seemed similar, in effect.
At the moment that you mention tablet, he kind of like there's a shift in the sand. Give me an insight check.
$90.
Yeah, there is something more to this. He knows more about this, but maybe he's not saying it. For my second question, what creature?
You would not believe it if I told you, but it was a lion folk subterforged.
Lion folk? Subterforged?
Well, lion subterforged, I suppose.
What was it doing there?
It was a part of an exhibition. it was probably put there as a remembrance of the war that happened all those years ago. Though, as far as I was aware, most Subterforged were located up north.
Correct. But from what I know, there were also down south. What has me concerned is that there are statues of some animals that we do not have a proper explanation for in their origin in the desert as well.
Well, one could put one and one together.
There is one creature. It is like a snake, but it is as if he has been armored with iron, but then turned to stone.
That is pretty much what we saw. It was a lion, big lion creature with cannons on its back.
This creature does not have cannons, it has huge spider-like claws,
Ugh.
he bends with the sand like
That is unsettling.
We do not have an origin for it, so we have just left it in the desert. We have just marked its location.
Could there have been someone who was experimenting on these creatures?
I suppose it's possible. There was an ancient laboratory in the desert at some point. But it's been lost to time. It was a human creation, so I do not know much about it.
Well, that explains the subjufortication. Is that the word for it? They should have come up with a more catchier term. I like to give my invention a more catchy term.
You amuse me, sister. But, getting back on topic.
Long story short, yes. Or short story long. You could also investigate the missing people. We do not know where they have been taken. But we do know...
You expect them to still be alive?
I do not think they would have just killed all of those people. And I have a little nagging feeling that some of the stewards are involved.
The stewards? But if the stewards are involved, then the king is involved.
Maybe the stewards have not informed the king if he is busy with more pressing matters, such as his ailing health.
Just a little tidbit above game. You also know that those 4 stewards are associated with Einar.
Exactly.
But you haven't shared that at the moment.
No.
I see. It is your choice. Investigate the missing people, investigate the palace, investigate Einar's manor, or see for a way to protect the mind from those attacks. Although I am not a scholar, I do not know how my success will be in that.
No, that is... I'm literally attending a school for breaking curses.
No, but I could go to the Atashbarat records and investigate. Also,
No, yes.
No, I do not have... I cannot tell you that. That would be oath-breaking.
Pardon me?
There are things that I cannot say, as the Atashbarat oath forbids me from telling. Let's just say that your first thing about turning back from stone back to alive, but then the other way around, it's not unheard of in Atashbarat.
We really need to unify our people more than we do need to keep secrets. But we'll get to that later.
It is not a secret, Thalga. It is part of the way of life. But
that is confusing.
I cannot tell you more in detail.
That
Unless
is all right.
you get clearance from the Atashbarat side of the council. Or that you embrace the way of the sand.
I understand. For now, let's focus on this matter at hand. But don't worry, that tablet that is also dangerous is being kept at the academy. Apparently safe and sound.
I see.
For now, I would say that you would investigate with your contacts the potential of the missing people. I wonder what they're doing with them. If they are messing with their minds somehow, or if they are literally being put away somewhere. That would be terrible.
When do you wish for me to inform you again? Do you wish for me to free them, or do you wish for me to just observe the situation? I can do both, but the first one might cause
slight panic
issues.
Though I have learned to come to embrace chaos a little bit. No. Perhaps first investigate where they are being kept and in what way.
I see. Intel.
I have been momentarily, just for a moment, imprisoned myself in the city, due to the involvement with the incident at the temple. But that was only 4 jail cells. I did not see the people there.
We'll have to overhear through the sand.
I bet some whispers might come your way then.
Could there be others that have overheard something or know something? Any other groups involved?
Well, there was this strange... Another of my companions, they're all quite peculiar ladies. She made contact with a group that called themselves the Covenant. I have not heard of them before. I do know that they use a white dagger on a black field as a symbol of theirs.
Roll me inside.
12.
I'll roll deception. There was a squint in their eyes when you said this. But you don't know what it means.
Probably a grain of sand. I do not... They don't seem very trustworthy. All sneaky in the shadows.
I am made 99% out of sand, Thalga.
Well, that is different. I know I can trust you. You are on our side.
At some point in history, we may not have been.
History.
Do not tell the idols that.
No, we should. The elders would probably get a stroke if they heard what is going on.
Yes.
But I know that Grandpappy had a good heart, so he could handle it. But we haven't involved ourselves much with that group, but they seem to be very aware of the goings-ons in the city. Now, I would not say that you would need to approach them, but how do we put that delicately? If you hear something in the sands coming from that direction, who knows?
I see. Something to consider.
I leave the rest up to you.
Yes. When do you wish to be informed? As soon as possible?
If you
Once we've gathered enough information?
let's I'm unsure how long that would take, but if there is no lead or you come up empty-handed, let me know in, say, a 10-day or something. Otherwise, inform me as soon as possible if you find something juicy.
As you wish, Thalga. I will also try to keep you informed regarding the situation of Satbarat.
Ah, that does my heart good now. Well, what was it again? Ah, may you find warm sands, as you people say, and
Well, we do say that. But we have another saying now that I am like this. We tame the sun.
oh, I like that one better than embrace the sun. Sun seems sometimes a little bit uppity out around here.
What do you mean?
Whilst I have a feeling that the royal family is trying to be benevolent, there is a certain underlying thing here in the system.
Well, as far as I know, embrace the sun is of course the greeting. But to us, our saying tame the sun is much more part of our way of life. Some would even say an incantation.
Oh, that's a good one. Perhaps I should study upon the Atashbarat methods.
Perhaps. It could be enlightening to you.
Turning my armor into sand. Now that is a peculiar way. Anyway,
If you do wish to follow that path, I would not be against giving you some pointers. Would you like to try one right now for a way to communicate without saying anything?
well, now that you're offering, that sounds very useful.
From his pocket, he takes out a little bottle of sand, but it has a bit of an unusual color. What color does this sand have, Thalga?
Oh crap. Have we assigned colors to the 3 cities?
It's up to you to decide.
Well, fitting the theme, it has a slight brassy golden sheen.
He takes out the sand and he pours it onto his hand. Well, Thalga, open your hand. As he kind of like slowly lets it like fall onto your hand. And this is sand that we use to train the new ones, the younger ones, into the way of Atashbarat.
I see.
Think with your mind what you want the sand to do. Keep it simple. Let it move. Let it float.
Thalga thinks to herself, I want to form an exclamation point.
Roll me an Arcana check. No, spellcasting check. Which is effectively for you an Arcana check anyways, so it's up to you.
Well, Arcana is +5, so hey, we love that. That is 13 plus 5, 18.
With an 18, you think making an explanation for him, Mark. Like, as in, initially it doesn't do much, but then you try to focus a bit, and like it slowly indeed forms up, and then a little bit floats up, and then you think it's got to have the point, and like you and it happens.
Huh. Well, that is.
How did you do that? How did you do that? You picked it up in 10 seconds.
Well, it feels.
It took me a month.
You flatter me. Don't be kidding, Nara. I would need the bottle back, I suppose. I can't put it in my pocket.
No, you don't need to. Tell it to give you a charm or a bracelet, and it will stay in that form.
How much time is it?
It's like a bottle, but it can expand. It's like it's not an infinite amount, but it is like a magically amount.
I wanted to form the shape of a bracelet.
You can.
Like it takes the form of a zigzaggy bracelet around her wrist. Oh, very fashionable.
Once again, how? It took me half a year to make it into a shape, and it stayed consistent. I was joking. No, hold on. You do not. Are you sure that you are not? No, that cannot be. You grew up in Satmarat.
I suppose over spending all this time here, I may have formed a connection with the land. I have no explanation why this works. That is a clear and blatant lie.
I suppose we all have our secrets. Thalga. No need to share.
Need to know basis. Don't concentrate too much knowledge in one place at the same time.
Well, you bring up a good point. However, I have not gotten to the point yet how we can communicate.
Oh.
So, now think of splattering the sand somewhere, against the wall, against something else, and then think of writing a word in it. Effectively saying, this gives you the back in earth ability from the elementalism spell, which allows you to conjure up some sand and write a word in it.
You, of course, want me to do that. I am going to... Thalga is a practical person. She wants to write the word sand with the sand.
How does it happen?
Well, she forms the sand into a ball, launches it against the wall, and it forms the word sand. In Dwarven, of course.
I should start questioning that. You would do well in a Tashbarat, Thalga. If you ever consider, I would be proud to make an introduction.
Well,
although maybe the Tashbaradians would have some questions that you pick it up so quickly.
Questions that deserve answers in time, of course. I would not consider, in the long life I have ahead of me, to maybe pick up what my grandfather has picked up. And if you are, our esteemed Atabe, one would need to learn the ways of the different cities.
I suppose you're right, Thalga. However, Atabe et Ab has made very many diplomatic visits to Atashbarat, and he has tried his sand challenge. Not a speck that moved. And not to shame him, he is very capable and he is very knowledgeable about the inventions of Satbarat, but he is not one of the way of the sand, and not one to tame the sun.
I can imagine he is a little bit more stuck with his head in the water. But who knows? We will see in time. But thank you for the compliments and this nifty tool.
Yeah.
I will use it to its best ability.
Any other questions, Thalga?
No.
Just for funsies, roll me an intelligence check. Flat one.
17.
Gonna roll for it. If I roll higher than 17, you don't think of something. You can look at my tray. Natural 20. So, alright, Thalga. Then
Was this
No.
good or bad?
I'll tell you in a second.
No.
Alright, Thalga. Then I will look into the matter of the missing people. I will report to you once I have discovered something.
That's a good start.
If I am not at that moment investigating, it might be possible for you to notice a bit of sand around. I will keep an eye on you, just to be sure. Unless you are not comfortable with that.
Oh, no, please watch my back. There have been too many situations where we have been jumped.
Alright. Above game, this means that sometimes I will point out, Thalga, there's a bit of sand around. If I tell you that, he is nearby. And you then can, if it's necessary, pick up his character sheet and decide what he does.
Okay.
But only if I say, is there that there is some sand around.
All right.
I use that phrase specifically to make it a bit vague for the others. Because it's a desert, there's always sand.
Yeah, but this is unusual sand.
Well, he's going to depart. As he then looks to you,
Thalga was putting the sand away.
he looks up towards the moon that is already slowly going down. As a little bit of like the very, very early little bits of rays of light are already making their way. Tame the sun, Thalga. As then the sand blows away.
Maybe he's right. Maybe I should learn this. Very useful.
Oh, wait! You never asked him why he was at up in the first place.
Well, maybe it doesn't seem that unusual. Is it supposed to be unusual?
An attached Baradian that is a spy suddenly just at the council of Grandpappy? You never. Well, it's why it didn't come up in conversation.
Sure. Thalga is tired. I would assume that Thalga thinks that he was just a retainer or something, or someone who was sent to assist, or Grandpappy was like, I can't send in an army, I need a spy.
But during this conversation, there were two moments where you picked up maybe there's more that he isn't letting on.
True,
especially around the squeezing of the eyes of something of turning back to stone and that tablet.
Yeah, but this is also Thalga, hasn't shared everything that she knows as well.
No.
Of course, this is not the moment, but
No.
she also said a few things with the intent of catching the interest of this person, so that she knows, okay, he knows this, and I think I can trust him because dwarves.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're the weird sand people, they're still, kin. But also in a way to know that there's more going on this side that is far too complex. Be aware there might be things that you might run into.
Mm-hmm. And that's where this scene ends.